The Senior Bowl wrapped up a few weeks ago, and I've been going through my positional rankings post-Senior Bowl for the 2023 NFL Draft Class, and finally we have arrived here at linebackers. Remember, in this video, you're going to get my top 10, and on Twitter, you can see my top 20, so go follow. I'm a good follow, but what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know, so go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Real quick, I gotta go grab something. Got this bingo doll for my birthday, so I gotta make sure bingo's up in there in the background. But let's go ahead and get this sucker started. By the way, Bluey, banger. But let's get this started with number 10, Ivan Pace Jr. out of Cincinnati. I got a 4th round grade on him. He is 5'10", 231. We'll talk about the size, but he had an electric year for Cincinnati, having over 120 tackles, 55 pressures, 12 sacks. He had a phenomenal Senior Bowl where he was just dominant as a pass rusher in the pass protection snaps against running backs, and then even in the scrimmage periods, he was consistently getting pressure. And not even initially a Cincinnati recruit. He actually came from Miami, Ohio, where he was, I believe, in 2021. Yeah, he was MAC Defensive Player of the Year. This was via PFF, though. Then he moved to join Cincinnati, also joined younger brother Sean Pace, who is going to be in next year's draft. But freaking Pace is just such a quick and smooth athlete. He can bounce around the line of scrimmage. He does a good job of not letting guys basically get onto his pads. He shows, I think, solid sideline to sideline quickness. He was actually the fastest linebacker there at Mobile, or at least when it came to their little speed charts or whatever. But he was tested at like 20 miles an hour. So this guy's flying. He's good at squaring up with ball carriers. Had a solid 13.7 missed tackle rate. So it was all right. It's fine. There are times out in space he just occasionally slips on or off of tackles. And I mean, I guess we could bring it up. He doesn't have the desired length for the position, nor does he have like the physicality you really want to see, that there's just some reps where he gets laid out, put on his back by defensive linemen. You see this in the run game. Offensive linemen, usually when they get engaged with him, he has a difficulty trying to disengage. Doesn't really have many ways to disengage. And I think that's kind of going to be the thing here. It's like you're gonna look at this cat like he is a phenomenal blitzer as a sub package option. That's kind of the conclusion I came to, because obviously, man, this cat gets pressure, man. He reads and reacts well. He's always in a good position to put himself in an area to make a play on whether it's the pass or ball carries, but again, lacks the ideal length really to be a consistent guy in coverage on the down to down basis. But on pass and downs, man, like watch out. Like this dude also plays to the whistle. You love that. Plays with a good motor. He has very good hitting power, and that's just gonna be the question, man. Do you just view him as a sub package blitz option, or just a sub package option in general? But I think Ivan Pace came away from the Senior Bowl with a lot more fans than going in. We obviously know the stats are there, so it'll be interesting to see where the NFL sees him. But on to number 9, I got Noah Sewell out of Oregon, 4th round grade on him, 6'2", 253, man. 56 tackles this year. Was kind of down from most last 2 seasons, but might be the strongest guy in this class, strongest linebacker, I should say, in this class. He takes on tackles relatively easy. He isn't slowed by contact. He's built like a freight train, and you can tell there's a lot of straight line speed there with him. He's got long arms, good closing speed. If you look at the past, if you look at 2020 and 2021, yeah, there we go. 52 pressures, 6 sacks this past season. He ended up getting 18 pressures, 2 sacks. He has a thick build, good length, cause trouble in the middle of the field by just clogging passing lanes with that length. Occasionally he will make the splash plays, but there is a lot of reason for concern when it comes to Noah Sewell, because the biggest concern for me is honestly his prowess in coverage, and then the knack for missed tackles or just overrunning ball carriers. Now, he may be a big hitter. He's got a big hitting mentality, but the problem is that, especially when in the passing game, that many receptions underneath, that he's a guy that's not he's just not going to make those plays in coverage consistently at the NFL level, despite what he had 3 pass protections this season. He's going to be a minimal gain guy. And the missed tackle rate was a bit better this past season. Admittedly, I think he had that down to 12.5% opposed to you look at it in 2020, it wasn't great, but you could tell just there's this mentality. He wants to lay out, destroy somebody. I mean, there's a play if you go back to 2021. I think it was against USC, but I'm not positive, but where he just blows up the guard to get to the back on a stretch play, and he goes to lay out the running back, and he pushes the running back a good 4 yards, but the running back's able to maintain his balance, and he actually ends up picking up 8. So on a gain on a play that should have went for negative yards, and ended up going for a +8 instead. So I will say he was much better in that regard this season, but there's still a bit left to be desired, because he still was that aggression's still there where he overruns ball carriers because he is looking for that big hit. The passing prowess just really isn't there, and he's more of a linear player than laterally. So the change of direction, not great. It's not going to really help him be around the ball more in coverage. So those are 2 pretty big concerns when going to the NFL. And while you look at what he can do as a straight line athlete, because he's got a lot of pop, he really does. He moves exceptionally well when it comes to a straight line, coming downhill and be able to take on blocks and such. But you're going to wonder, is this the guy that you can keep on the field on passing downs? I think that's going to be a fair question. And then next on the list here at number 8, I have Henry TOA out of Alabama. He's here at 6'2", 228. He had about out of the Senior Bowl. I think he was recovering from injury to make sure he was good for the combine, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But he was formerly a 4-star recruit out of the 2019 class, went to Tennessee, played, I believe, 2 seasons there. However, then, was it 2 seasons? Yeah, it was 2 seasons, and then he went to Alabama, who was the team that actually heavily recruited him as well during the 2019 freshman class. And then in 2021, he led the Alabama in tackles. You could tell, this season, he played in every game, had 95 tackles. You could tell this dude's a wonderful athlete. He's a natural-born leader, very vocal member of that defense. He has the ability to match up on secondary playmakers, and shows just I think he has a good feel for zone. He does a good job of reading the quarterback, sniffing out screens, checkdowns. He's got the type of closing speed that can just create negative plays and create turnovers. As a blitzer, he disguises his blitzes exceptionally well. He times them exceptionally well, and he's a bit of an opportunist in that regard. 14 pressures, 3 sacks this past year. He can refine some of his technique and clean up some of the areas, which if he would have done that in 2022, we'd be talking about him as a top 2 linebacker, top 3 linebacker in this class. The thing is, the first half of the season was solid enough, but the second half was just more of what we've seen in the past when it came to TOA. His game still overall just needs polish as a run defender. Takes bad angles. He gets caught in the weeds too often, or more often than not. And even when he does get to the ball carriers, he's a bit inconsistent as a tackler. He hovered both this year and last year around that 15% missed tackle rate. Typically, you're really scared when it's 18 to 20%. That's typically you're not doing your job as a tackler, but still, it's close enough to where it's okay, not the most consistent option. there. As a pass rusher, he is a bit more of an opportunist than actually being able to take on blocks. He does need to add maybe a bit more bulk, a bit more power to his frame. And in coverage, he just doesn't always trust what he sees, which results in him being a tick slow to the ball, and a guy that should really have splash plays on tape. He just needs to be quicker when reading and reacting. Like this season, he did nothing in the pass game. If you go back to 2021, he had what? All of nothing again, actually. Like, he should be able to make plays in coverage, but he's not. That's a problem. Wonderful athlete, guy that's going to test out well. So essentially in a weaker linebacker class, you look at this guy and it's like, you know, he's got tools worth building upon. And then at number 7, Dorian Williams out of Tulane, 6'1", 228. He had a solid Senior Bowl. He was flying all over the freaking field. You love to see it. He's one of my favorite prospects in this linebacker class. I got him as a top 100 prospect. I think for consecutive years he's been first team all American or all AAC, and he's one of the better coverage linebackers in this class, one of the best coverage linebackers in this class. And since I'm speaking of coverage, let me bring Gojo into the fold here. Jeez Louise. Hello, Gojo. Gojo's got to get his spotlight, ain't that right, bud? Gotta make his presence known. Now, good short area quicks, good closing speed. His play recognition's pretty darn solid too, and play speed just gives him very impressive range. He moves so well around the line of scrimmage, and just a smooth change of direction. He's very good at flowing towards the action. He showcases ball skills. We've seen that the last few seasons. This past year, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. He's just very good at, once he sees the ball in air, he quickly darts to make a play on it. He plays with a big mean streak. He packs a lot of punch in his frame. You love the scrappiness. You love the willingness to throw his body around, and he just relishes physicality. He loves the pursuit. However, he is a bit of a smaller dog, but not really compared to most of this class. Most of this class, you're seeing guys that don't really hit those thresholds, at least we've wanted to see the last few years, the linebacker position, but by no means is it bad. However, in the running game, he does have problems when facing bigger blockers like fullbacks, tight ends, or offensive linemen. He can struggle to disengage, and imagine with his slight lack of size, that might show up in the NFL. There's also, as a tackler in space, he has a tendency to leave his feet and kind of like go for that spear or that gore if you're an ECW fan. Rather than just kind of securing the tackle. Still, one of the more consistent guys, but I think something that might show a bit more in the NFL. If you go for those style of tackles out in space, it could result, out in space or even in the open field, it could result into bigger gains. But I'm a big fan of Dorian Williams in this class. Number 6, top 100 grade here on Nick HERBIG out of Wisconsin. Gotta get a little shout out to T-Pain. Love me some T-Pain. And he is the brother of Nate HERBIG. If you're unfamiliar, he was playing with the Jets this past season. Now, when it comes to Nick HERBIG, he missed some time this past season with a knee injury, and he kind of like he missed one game, but he battled with that knee injury for most of the year, and then also I think I believe he missed, not even missed, but he was kicked out of a game for targeting. Regardless, but still put out a good year as a pass rusher, and that's the thing. He was primarily used as a pass rusher there for the Wisconsin Badgers. He's here at 6'2", 227, so he's a linebacker. He lacks the length to be a consistent edge rusher, and that's kind of his thing. Now, he's got really good movement skills, like he can maneuver around the line of scrimmage. He's very quick on stunts. He uses his hands exceptionally well. It doesn't let blockers ever get cleanly into his strike zone. You can tell just his pass rush game plan is very, very nice. Again, does a good job just keeping that strike zone clean. If you're asking me, can he do that at the NFL level consistently? I have my doubts. That's why he's probably needs to move to off ball, with the big problem being, well, that's something he didn't really do throughout the course of his career. Very similar to like a Nick Bonito, but even Nick Bonito had more coverage snaps on him than HERBIG had. So with him, like, you got to wonder, okay, man, this is a cat that probably will be a bit developmental when it comes to the coverage aspect, because really he was just like, he was used in coverage a little bit, but it was either in man or just covering the flats. So you're not gonna, there's no real nuance there. There's going to be a concern with him in the middle and up the seams, simply because he was rarely asked to ever do that at Wisconsin. You might be able to, you could even point to like a Zach Bond, who came out a few years ago, that really hadn't materialized into much of more than a special teams player for the Saints. But I think HERBIG was a much better pass rusher, more disruptive guy, a guy that had a better, like, you could see it upstairs in terms of a pass rusher. Like, he really knows how to keep himself clean, how to get offensive linemen with double moves. He's very crafty and shifty, but will he be able to be a bit more off ball is going to be the question when it comes to HERBIG. And I believe it, man. He's got the ability. He's going to come in with better length, like an Ivan Pace, who was sitting there with like 30-inch arms. I believe HERBIG's probably going to be around the 30, close to 32, around there. But again, too undersized to be an edge rusher in the NFL, but he has better size than you would, or at least better length, and I think an overall probably a better chance to be a guy that could eventually see the field on the down-to-down per basis. All right, let's go ahead to the number, our top 5 with DEMARVION OVERSHOWN out of Texas, sitting here at number 5 for me. Big fan of OVERSHOWN, man, because he had a real lackluster 2021 after kind of really break out in 2020, and then 2022 he was just very, very good. He ended up being a first team All-American in 2022, and he is just a good freaking athlete. That's the best way to put it. A bit sideline to sideline. Did I say All-American? I meant all Big 12. My bad, guys. My bad. But like, this dude's a wonderful athlete. Legit sideline to sideline. He's a former safety, if you didn't know. But he's got great closing speed. He's got really good length. What was his size there at the Senior Bowl? 32.5 inch. So actually, Dorian Williams actually came in with better length. But when it came to the wingspan, OVERSHOWN kind of out-ticked him. But this is a dude that's capable of being disruptive in coverage. He's a former safety. He moves like it. He's just got that range and that ability to be disruptive. You go back, I think he had 3 interceptions, 5 pass breakups in 2020. This season, 2 pass breakups, no interceptions. So not nearly as disruptive. Doesn't really have at least the ball skills you'd like to see from a guy, at least with his build being there at 220. But definitely has the type of frame that he could put more bulk on, more mass on. Play strength is going to be an obvious thing when it comes to him. He needs to get stronger. I think he showed to be a bit better between the tackles this season, but again, his game's more, rather than having to like mince with guys with hands, he gets real nimble and he tries to like sneak in. But he's been very good in that and he's kind of like shored up some of the inconsistencies as a tackler, as with that length. You should be able to wrap anybody up, but he did struggle with that over the course of his career. 19% missed tackle rate, but this year was vastly better than what it's been in years past, as he got that down to 13.2 for the season. And you're just going to wonder, man, is he going to be able to hang with the physicality of the NFL? Because he does play a bit off balance, especially around the line of scrimmage. If guys put hands on him, like you're going to be wondering, wow, can he put on the weight? Can he put on the mass that he needs to kind of survive around the line of scrimmage in the NFL? Or is he just this cat that has to kind of like be more opportunistic and find daylight, fill holes, and be disruptive? I think he can do that. I honestly do. Like, this dude's a phenomenal athlete, and you know he's at least going to be very good early on in the passing downs, and the rest of his game might show up. You could probably bring out like a Willie Gay, who a lot of his when he first came into the league for Kansas City was the passing down bases. But I think Willie Gay's developed into a very good linebacker in the NFL. Him and Nick Bolton are a very scary duo there for the Chiefs, as they were very disruptive in the Super Bowl win there. But I think Overshown could have the same type of pathway when it comes to how will he get there to the NFL. I think he could take the same path as a Willie Gay. All right, number 4, I got Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell was actually a first-team All-American this past season, so there we go. All right, Jack Campbell is sitting there at 6'5", 246, so great size. He's just a good freaking linebacker. I got top 75 grade on him, but he's going to be closer to like the 50-60 range for me. He's a very sure tackler, 9% missed tackle rate this past season. He shows great instincts. You hardly find this guy out of position, reads and reacts well, both in the run game and in the passing game, though he is very much he's not a splash player necessarily in the passing game, though he had, 2 picks, interception this season. But he is more so that minimal gain type of guy. Like, okay, you might catch it on me underneath, but those are about the only yards you're going to get, as he allowed close to a 93% catch rate this past year. Reads and reacts well, good balance, good short area quicks. He's good at filling run-in holes. He's good at filling holes in the run game, so you see a bit of that gap discipline from him. He keeps his feet moving through contact, which I say every video is one of my absolutely favorite things to see. Guys, upon contact, to keep moving their feet regardless of position. His length creates problems in the passing game. He has shown to make some splash plays here and there, but really this cat wins with hustle and relentlessness. But the change of direction, it's okay. It kind of is what it is. He's not much of a pass rusher, though. This year he was more disruptive than he has been in past years, with 15 pressures and a sack on the statistics. Against more athletic blockers, Campbell does tend to struggle to break free and can find himself out of the play. And you know what? Like, legit, like, he's got average play speed. The high-end traits aren't that high-end. He seems to be lacking in those, and that's kind of why he's kind of in this midday 2 mold for me. On to number 3, I got DAIYAN HENLEY out of Washington State, up here at 6'1", 230. One of my favorite running backs, tight ends, linebackers. There we go, linebackers in this class. I got a top 50 projection on him. I thought he was the best looking linebacker at the Senior Bowl. He was a former 2-star recruit from the 2017 class at Nevada, where he played receiver. He actually was a return man as well, and it wasn't until, I believe, 2019 until he made the transition to defense. And he has been one of the best coverage linebackers in college football. And then he transferred just this past year to Washington State and was exceptionally good. 92 tackles, 18 pressures, 5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, interception, and a pass breakup. Now, being a former wide receiver, fun fact, he still moves like it. And he's got ball skills to boot. He has the skill set to be very versatile in today's NFL, who kind of want those type of linebackers. He flies all around the field. Again, one of the best coverage linebackers since 2020. He understands route tendencies and concepts. It's just top notch. He flashes ball skills. Again, it's like he was a former wide receiver, which he was. He also flashes the ability to be a blitzer, and that kind of came to fruition. I wish it was used a bit more for Washington State, but we saw a good glimpse of it where he had 18 pressures, 5 sacks this past season. Like, he times his blitz as well. He shoots gaps exceptionally well. He shows good balance while taking on contact. And he's a bit more put together as a tackler than you would expect from a former wide receiver. However, it's not to say that he is there yet. Because I don't believe that he is. Like, he doesn't always take the cleanest routes to ball carriers. And he doesn't really have the physicality you'd like to see from the position. Even though the dude is yacked up, there are times where he could be a bit skittish when it comes to engaging or having to engage with offensive linemen, and there are times where he gets stuck. It kind of is what it is right now, and I think he has the tendency to put a bit more mass on that frame. In coverage, he's still kind of developing a feel, I guess, overall awareness and eyes, because there are times he can be a bit late to match with receivers behind him, and he has allowed big plays over the middle in the past, like this past season. So just being able to, like, okay, someone's going behind me, turning, playing with them, but still understanding potentially where the ball is when it is in air. So something he has the athleticism to completely do, but again, keep in mind, this guy really wasn't playing linebacker until 2020, like full time. So it's still something he's developing, but I'm a big fan of Henley. On to number 2, we got Drew Sanders. It's really close with him at number 1, exceptionally close. Both have first-round grades. Drew Sanders coming in here at 6'5", 233, had a phenomenal year with 90 tackles. He also had 39 pressures, 11 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. Just insane. And the NFL is just going to love this cat. They really are. He was formerly a Alabama recruit, but he was mainly playing edge rusher for Alabama and moved to Arkansas to play more off coverage linebacker, off ball linebacker, which he did in high school, but he hadn't done in the collegiate level until this season. And it came with its ups and with its downs. Like, first off, great athlete with the speed and the twitchiness to boot. It's no surprise that Alabama really tried to make this cat an edge rusher. He's probably going to come in with really good length as well. But he has the skill set necessary to play linebacker in the NFL. He has great pursuit speed. He can push rush plays to the sideline. He explodes downhill. He's got the length to clog passing lanes. He just has an ideal frame for the position. However, the sample size, it's still a bit small. It's just really 1 year as a full-time starter that he played off-ball linebacker, and it came with its ups, came with its downs. There was time he overran plays, whipped on tackles, like his ability to break down ball carriers out in space, just consistently showed up on tape, and it's something he needs to get better at. If you look, almost basically 19.6, close to 20% missed tackle rate. That has to get better, and I believe it will. He's also still developing his awareness in coverage. While he did make plays here and there in coverage, 81% catch rate allowed, still pretty high. Typically, though, at the NFL level, linebackers, you like to at least see your average linebackers around 70 to 80% in terms of catch rate. So he's just outside of that. But again, this was his first year collegiately at off-ball linebacker. So there's a lot to like about Sanders moving forward, and I think that's just going to get I think that train's just going to keep on getting stronger as we go into the combine, because I believe he's going to test exceptionally well. And then 1A here is Trenton Simpson out of Clemson, 6'3", 240. Another guy that's got the build to play linebacker at the NFL level, and he mainly kind of played an overall hand back in 2021 for Clemson. Played a bit more traditional linebacker this season, but he has been very consistent as a pass rusher. If you go to the last 2 seasons, he has 47 pressures, 9 sacks the last 2 years. So he shows a tendency to get after it. Like, he's shown the ability to get good leverage and use his length pretty darn well to get to the passer or get to ball carriers. I love the change in direction. The closing speed's real nice, both in the pass and the run game. He's very nimble between the tackles, and he's just too explosive for interior linemen to really handle. His combination of size and athleticism, it's going to be very tantalizing. This is what the NFL wants at the linebacker position currently. There will be concerns with the play strength, though. I will say this guy is chiseled out, though, so he can put on a bit more mass, a bit more girth. And I think he'll be able to kind of like help. He'll be able to help his case that, oh, he can set an anchor in the run game if he has to, or kind of muscle through to make plays. He's long, which, hey, that's always a great thing. But I really wish we saw more coverage plays. There was not enough splash plays in coverage given his athleticism and his length. The part of the problem is he needs to see the field better. He needs to see, like, he has problems seeing both the ball and the receiver, at least playing both the ball and the receiver, which kind of leads him to be late on breaks and such. So that needs to get better at the NFL level. I think it will. I feel like if he was in a class with like Isaiah Simmons, we remember when Isaiah Simmons went top 100, top 10, and I think we've learned quite a bit from that. And yeah, we're still willing to take a guy like that in the first round, but I think, okay, maybe in that back end of the first round is a bit more fair. I think it's going to be, at the end of the day, him and Drew Sanders fighting for linebacker 1 in this class. There's some good linebackers to be had, even in my top 20. Like, there was like, oh man, there's guys I like in this class. There really, really are. It's just not as voluptuous as it has been in years past. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. As always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.